Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to a Digital World Town Hall meeting. Today is September 30th, 2025, and the world is going crazy, but it's a beautiful thing that we're actually have another day here on Earth. And I hope by the end of this town hall, we can actually be uplifted from a standpoint that we actually see a positive future, even with a lot of craziness going on. So, and I see humanity assembling. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But thank you for tuning in. We do have a live audience from around the world that is here with us, from New Zealand to Australia to Canada to here in the United States, where I'm physically located, and then folks even over to Europe, to Sweden. And we're just grateful for people that are actually tuning in and caring, even though it may be, I don't know, Daniel, what time is it for you, bud? 2, 3 in the morning, something like that?
2:15 a.m. Yes.
2:15 in the a.m. Thank you, buddy. It's great. We're grateful to have you here and get your perspective of life. And here we go. So the Digital World Town Hall meetings are a weekly meeting that focuses on what's happened this last week, not just in development and advancements within technology in the digital world, but also from around the world, and then just general Q&A, feedback, thoughts, concepts, concerns, guidance, advice, saying, hey, something's not right. Let's take a different path or think about it differently. This is the world's ability to be able to come and have a voice and actually be a part of a solution where humanity can come together. And instead of just reacting to things that are happening around us, actually be a part of the change, a part of the future. I'm grateful for those co-hosts and those dedicated folks that are just continually there always. Like I didn't even have a conversation with an individual this morning. I just said hi, and he's just there. And I'm just grateful for all of you from all around the world, especially those that may not even be able to be here or have plugged in and then had to plug out because it was too difficult to stay for one reason or another. But just grateful for the fellow travelers and for the folks that are just like you as listeners or even online with us. So thank you for joining. We're going to get started by acknowledging that there is a spiritual element to life, and usually things are created physically or spiritually before they're created physically. And that inside of this physical environment and experience that we get to live, especially in these amazing bodies, we do have a spirit. But we're starting to see, at least in the generation that most of us that are on the call are seeing, is this new generation of the digital layer and ecosystem that is popping out. And so we want to recognize that there's 3 different environments that we're seeing, and the digital world is focused on that digital layer. And we want to know and identify that spiritually is really where we hope to be able to gain the guidance and the direction, because we know that if we tap into those types of things that are eternal truths, it may be difficult to actually see or touch or face or even explain. But the faith, I think, behind it will actually help us to be able to move forward. Today, we're going to have an opening prayer by Becca. It's actually going to be in Maori. So she's actually based in Australia today, but she's actually got roots to New Zealand or Aotearoa. So, Becca, if you're live, if you could do that for us, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. Whakatakata ki te uru. Whakatakata ki te tonga. Kia mai kina kinuta. Kia mai tai tarakatai. E hiaki ana te arakura. E tio, e huka, e hohu, tihe Māori ora. Cease the winds from the west. Cease the winds from the south. Let the breeze blow over the land. Let the breeze blow over the ocean. Let the red-tipped dawn come with a sharpened air, a touch of frost, and a promise of a glorious day. Amen.
Amen. Hearing that language just reminds me of my son. Actually just went off on a mission. He landed in Samoa this last week, and just to hear him speaking Samoan within, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. And then right when he landed, the following day, he landed on a Saturday, and the following day he had to give a talk in Samoan in church. So we'll see where that goes. But just, he is a leader to me. He might be might be younger, but he's definitely one that I look up to in life. His name is Dylan, for those of you that don't know him or will get to know him. So you'll see him in a couple of years, but he's already learning and growing. But it's interesting to see the language of Samoan and Maori and how close they are. Just hearing you say that prayer is just an eye-opener. For those that need a reminder, this is a private membership association. The digital world is actually based upon those. We're grateful for the opportunity to have the knowledge of what associations and private environments mean, and as a human right to actually be private and to transact and to travel. And we're grateful for the knowledge that's in there. We're also grateful for even the understanding of secret combinations. For those of you that may have been with us last week, we talked a little bit about the secret combinations, at least specific elements of one. And some of them are in the tech world, insurance world, finance world, construction world, travel, you name it. But the one that we're going to focus in on are these elements within the technology world: Oracle, OpenAI, and TikTok. The individuals behind these ecosystems will come together and create a system that will centralize humanity like we've never known it. And the digital world is a counterbalance to that, where instead of governments and ecosystems coming together, whether it's with health information, credit information, financial information, statistical or private information, or whatever information you want to throw out there, instead of organizing them around governments and then thinking that the governments have the best will or best, especially when they start talking about these mRNA vaccinations and other things. And I'm not even going to go through the details of what that is. All I can say is these are perfect examples of secret combinations, these three organizations and what they're doing with the Stargate event. And the goal is to be able to have a choice for humanity where they can actually come and be themselves. But there needs to be a jurisdiction, especially if the opposite of what's happening around the world is governments actually doing the opposite of centralizing the systems, where like within the state of Utah, I mean, the state of Utah is doing such amazing work, which I'll talk a little bit about, but it is the counterbalance of what this is. Even though, yes, they may have a centralized system running Oracle and tons of data, but they're saying, how is that data removed? How long does that data live? How is that data shared? And they're being very responsible, in my opinion, with how that is all being moved into the future. Now, that being said, there's a lot of other elements that tie to it, but the point is these secret combinations need to have a counterbalance, and the counterbalance is really decentralization. So when we look at governments, we look at centralized systems, they do the opposite of these different layers. And we'll talk a little bit more about these, but it starts with identity, then it goes to financial transactions, storage, communications, assets, governance, where you may have endorsements and reputation, and then legacy. So we're going to touch on all these different layers. These are some of the advancements that we've been able to define this last week, and we'll dig through kind of the details. How do we find the balance between freedom and decentralization and government and centralization? How do we find the balance between how the individual actually creates their own identity? And in the world of the digital world, there's a key or a 12 words that are given to the individual that then actually links with the individual and then has derived keys that manage every part of their life. And it could be tons of these, it could be unlimited. And then there's an element of key rotation in how these are actually deployed and operate. So grateful for the knowledge that basically enables the physical and digital worlds to actually come together through this decentralization model, so to speak, which I personally believe decentralization is absolutely a true and correct principle. It's not even a technology, it's a principle. It's how our bodies work. It's how the universe works. It's a beautiful, beautiful principle where there's intelligence in things. It doesn't matter if it's dead wood, there's just intelligence inside of everything, whether you're looking at it through a microscope or a telescope. But when you combine that decentralized element with identity and then these derived keys and then really all these other things that we're talking about, it brings it all together. So as far as exchange, phones, homes, and community, the advancements primarily this last week has been with the exchange sides of it, with a life asset that is currently being launched. We'll talk a little bit about that. Before we do that, I want to get through an element of some folks have asked, well, we already have these different systems that are out there. What we can just use Bitcoin. We've got 4 countries that have already adopted Bitcoin, or we've got other things that can actually write smart contracts, or we've got existing systems like Visa. And this is a comparison that I think is really important to actually look at. And what this looks at is the Visa environment. So within a 24-hour period, Visa basically transferred, and this was done, I don't know, 5 years ago or something. And basically, Visa transfers about $14 billion in equivalent of US dollars in 24 hours. So we looked at just the data associated with that. And this was before AI, and we actually had to crunch all the numbers, and it was a lot of complexities. Now AI can do a lot of this stuff. But the net is Bitcoin actually takes about 10 minutes to fully consummate and transfer, and it's based on proof of work. Ethereum is faster, but it costs more, and it's based on proof of stake. Visa, people think that it actually is really fast, 3 to 5 seconds instead of 10 to 3 minutes, but it's super expensive, 2.4% on average for every transaction. So what they do is they insert themselves into a transaction and then basically leverage it. That's a good example of a secret combination within a financial ecosystem, namely what the Visa environment does with payments. So $336 million is 2.4% of 14 billion. And I'm not saying all that's profit, but a lot of that basically doesn't necessarily have a ton of massive costs, especially when you understand what it takes to run some of these environments. Compared to the digital world, we believe that proof of life, or the individual that actually proves who they are, and they actually document their own identity, their own experience, who they are in a private way. And then for future generations, not just for this generation, but imagine being able to actually manage your own identity, your own assets, your own persona, your own likeness in a private way, and then use the technological advancements like artificial intelligence to your own betterment. So instead of being a part of a centralized system, which, by the way, we literally have completely running an AI version on the phone that is private, that then can link into public AI. So you still get the benefits of all the global community and sharing, but your identity and data and contacts and calendar and photos and everything that you basically track today within the ClearPhone. So I just literally put my finger on it. Within the ClearPhone, there's 16 apps, and the apps can actually basically, here, I'll show you a written example. I should have done a slide, but this is a really good way to look at it. So on one hand, today what we're doing is we're basically taking our own life and we're going into other systems, finance, credit, banking, social media, health, you name it. We're putting our data, who we are, in their systems. But the opposite can actually happen, where we take who we are, and using AI and intelligent logins and the systems of the digital world, we can go into health and finance and social and reputation or credit, and we can literally take our identity from these environments and put it in to who we are. So I hope that makes sense. But that simple model, basically with AI helping the individual with all these different apps, you can literally have a brand new paradigm. And this is decades, and well, I can't say decades and decades because it's 16 years, so not 2 decades yet, but a lot of work has basically gone in to enabling that. And what we're looking at right now is comparing the finance layers. So remember, if we look at these layers, you basically have the identity layers first, then what the world calls a chain, which is, it's built on one. It actually, in many ways, the identity layer is actually ledgerless or chainless, but it uses the form of watchers and witnesses and basically validating that certain things are happening, which then can connect up to other identity environments, which we'll talk a lot about in the future, because that's what SETI and the state of Utah and Carrie and Sam Smith and some wonderful people that have actually brought to fruition, which I said a mean thing yesterday. Was it this morning? I think it was yesterday. I was like, I just expected more of us. Like, we could do better. We're better than this. Because right now we're seeing a lot of things in society that are just going ape nuts. And people think that finance is really the solution. It's not. And what we've seen over the last 4 or 5 days is people actually starting to use a word called digital identity. Okay. I'm going to play some stuff and then I'm going to come back to this and hopefully I can play it in this and that actually works. So if you haven't seen this, this is actually, I believe, it's a reality, but I believe that the harshness was a big mistake. But I believe that it's actually a beautiful thing because it's helping people to see a certain reality. So I'm going to go and play it. You may have heard it before. If you haven't, in my opinion, the 2.6 million petitions that have been signed since Friday, I believe came from this speech. Here we go.
And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
So this is the third wave. The first wave was in Nigeria when they basically took away the cell phones, or the government told the cellular providers, if these people haven't actually gotten a physical ID and a digital ID and linked them together and installed an app on their phone, turn their phone number off. So think about that. Text messages don't work. What in your world would actually stop working if you couldn't get a text message? Could you log into a bank? Could you log into XYZ application, ABC application? That's one side of it. The next one was a wave about 3 weeks ago in South Asia, where 86 million bank accounts were shut down because people didn't get a digital ID. They said, you want your money in these accounts? Go get a digital ID, and then you can come get it again. But it's forced compliance. And what this gentleman's doing over in London / the UK, which, by the way, my daughter just landed there yesterday, and they're just, they're actually learning how to do florist stuff and fun things. But it's been very eye-opening to watch this country stand up. And this next video that we're going to talk about is an eye-opener because it's the perception. And I really feel this is a response to what this gentleman's saying, but I really feel empathy for this individual. So here we go.
Like our country has abandoned us. It feels like our culture has been eroded, dissolved, and being replaced. See, we don't have a homeland to run to. This is our homeland. See, this is our darkest hour. In World War II, we stood up with the crown to fight for this country. Our grandparents, they died for this country. They helped build this country just so the establishment can give this country away. Make us the minority, label us as the racist and the far right. And then they charge us for doing it. They're taxing us so highly that we cannot build wealth. Our children cannot inherit wealth. The UK has been rug pulled from us. And yet our Mayor of London laughs at us. Our government bows to extremists, to societies within our society that have no benefit to us. They don't shop in our businesses. They've boycotted us. All for what? All for what reason, I ask? What is your outcome? What is your goal? You've created a desperate state where its natives no longer feel seen, heard. Literally, we're not even seen in London anymore. We are the minority. So to my fellow natives, I know you have hope, but you're not optimistic. Hope's for the beggar. So change is coming. Change is your voice. Stand up for your children, for your homes, for your homelands. I'm not calling violence, but I'm calling for an awakening. The country has been rug pulled, and we have nowhere else to go.
So I'm going to pull from there and then look at these statistics. These are live statistics. You're seeing them track up. I'll go ahead and refresh it. This is in UK, the United Kingdom. literally since Friday, 2.6 million people have signed a petition to not introduce digital ID. And they're not cards, it's actually on your phone. So the net is people are starting to see it. They're starting to understand that the path that they're on, they don't want. Question is, they don't see other paths just yet. I would say that other paths, even with the work that the digital world and the people around it have been working on for well over a decade. They don't understand. It's not simple. It's not easy, but it has to be. I would argue that it all works, whether it's turnkey and has documentation behind it and has user guides and how-tos and quick starts. It's not there yet, but the people can build it. All of us can build it together. And that's what the digital world represents. When we look at this digital world, .earth, and we understand that this globe that we're all born on, there's no borders. There's no separation between the air that we breathe, the way that life works. Like literally, he's talking about a culture. When they look at it from racism, and they look at it from different divides, whether it's the color of our skins or the way that we say our prayers, it doesn't really matter. We're still all humanity, and we're in this together. And whether we allow the few, the secret combinations that we were talking about before, these environments, whether we allow them to come and actually control, and when they actually start doing it, they start working together, they start taking over voting systems, identity systems, land management systems. But the net is there's a proof point that actually works with all of this. There's a system that can actually bring us together in a way that we haven't been brought together before. This gentleman here, Scott Stornetta, I pick him up tomorrow. I've had 4 or 5 meetings with him within the last 2 weeks. His name can be found within the Bitcoin white paper. He's the only one that's mentioned 3 times. His heart is absolutely good. This J.W. Stornetta. The things that he's done are based upon genealogical truths 14 years before Bitcoin was launched in January 2019. No, 2009. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. For those that have been around and kind of seen the journey from centralization to decentralization, people like Scott Stornetta actually is looking at what the digital world is doing, what it stands for, what it represents. And it's not just based upon all these different layers, from identity to payments to reputation to storage, but how we can actually move into this digital world and we can actually prove who we are. And I believe that this gentleman that we're talking about here, I actually believe that he's going to be not only a part of what happened within the Bitcoin ecosystem, but much more. Gary is on the line with us today, and he's actually a part of, which by the way, he's from Alpine Gold Exchange here in Utah, and literally helping to shift the way that humanity, whether it's with coins, silver or gold, or whether it's with things like this, the ability to have real value, because we've seen since 1971, the dollar value has gone out 98%, like literally. You see it in other countries, but what you see a consistency across the world is a value that we can actually look at. So the first time I actually held this $100 bill up, so this is actually 1/10 of a troy ounce, right? And the first time I held this up, it was probably valued at 400 and change. Now it's 760 and change. So basically what you're seeing is something that instead of declining in value, goes up in value, but this is from the finance standpoint. So think about it from how we transact, okay? But what happens before the finance layer is the identity layer. And I believe that Mr. Stornetta and some of the things that he's working on will actually help. We're getting some feedback somewhere. If that's okay. We try and self-select and figure it out. So I believe that Scott will be a part of bringing the future, not just of finance or genealogy or identity, which, by the way, this is from the Universal Genealogical Standard, which was created in 2017, 2018. We're getting some feedback from those that are still hot mics. So, Wally, can you find them real fast and just let them know? That'd be greatly appreciated. What I'd like to identify here is we're talking about a combination. This is genealogy. This is going to tie to identity. This is finance. But when we link it all together, the world looks at it as currencies. But what if we stopped and we just said, you know what, let's take a look at from 1450, Portugal was actually the world currency or the world standard, the reserve currency. For 80 years, from 1450 to 1830, they were the standard. Then it moved to Spain. Then it for 110 years. Then it moved to the Netherlands, which I've got some roots to go back there. And then it went to France and then Britain. Britain is what we just listened to. Literally, we listened to the government say, you're going to get this free ID. Aren't you lucky? And if you don't get it, you're not going to be able to work. So think about it. No cell phones, no cell phone number. Governments take them away. No bank accounts. No right to work. Even though you have a job and you're a freaking citizen, you don't get it. It's mandatory. You don't. I mean, just think about the logic here. And in all reality, all we have to do is just stand up. Because it doesn't matter what you vote. It doesn't matter who's in power. It matters what you buy and with the currency you buy it with. And the argument that I would argue, and I'm not going to say that there's a particular year that a US dollar, I look at the Genius Act that's about 60 days old now, and I look at what's happening and really what the Genius Act is, and anyone, please argue with this perspective, I would welcome it because it's just crazy to think about this. What I see when we read between the lines, the Genius Act basically enables a CBDC when it's supposed to stop it, but based upon the US dollar, USD. And so I would argue that it's not about a country controlling a currency or a reserve currency. It's about individuals within the digital world understanding that they are the currency. They are the assets. When they have an asset, they can pass it to the next generation. They don't need to wait for some centralized system to say, oh, probate allowed you to do that. Or this trust or that protector or this trustee or that trust protector or this company or that attorney. No. With technology, especially with some of the AI stuff, there's no reason why a generation would need to pass to another. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and why the digital world can actually not just, it's not the reserve currency. What it is turns it back to the people. The people are the currency. The people are the chattel. The people are the ones that governments basically say, we're going to get a QSIP number on you. We're going to basically tax you. We're going to basically say we got Social Security this way and that way, and maybe it works. And oh, we just inflate through it and create more currency. Therefore, the money supply is diminished. Therefore, dilution happens. Therefore, your buying power is ridiculous. I mean, homes that were 5 years ago and doubled in value now. What does that do to the next generation? I won't dig into all the ramifications of what happens when we have inflation/deflation, which, by the way, it looks like this week we're going to have the value of the US dollar will, the actual basis points will drop. I don't know if it's 25 basis points or 50 but the net is all of these things are controlled by central secret combinations, and the digital world can enable the individual to actually control their own destiny. The life paper we'll talk a little bit about and how that relates to Scott and others, and I think it's going to have a beautiful way to play out. It's not just a coin or a bond or a token or a reward, but it's a combination of a future that can actually enable the world. We've just seen a little bit about, a statistic. You've seen the statistics since we actually took this a little bit longer ago. For those of you that are not aware, this is an interface within the digital world. And this particular jurisdiction is the state of Utah, or the Utah Life. I can't say it's the state of Utah because they've got a long ways to go before systems like this are being realized. But I believe that the state of Utah, specifically with people that are leading it, they totally get it. They get it because I believe that they had forefathers that traveled from some of these countries. They traveled from the Netherlands. They traveled from Britain. They said, we're done. The taxation, the tyranny, enough is enough. We're going to come over. We're going to worship the God we want to worship. We're going to go where we want to go. And some of them came across the plains, and this beautiful state of Utah has a ton of pioneers and pilgrims that are here. I shouldn't say pilgrims, but you understand what I'm saying. So they fought from generation to generation. I think that's built into us to be able to do that. What we're looking at here is a future governance or a guardian-based system. So this is one of the advancements this last week. It's not a system that's built, but it's a system that we've designed up. Why? Because long ago, we actually had the ability within the cell phones, and it was actually working very well before the Freedom Phone mess came into it. I wish, there's some things in life you just look back on. I won't even get into those, but this is basically the Life app. You can have a family member, and you can actually manage the family member from where they go online, what their apps are, and if they can use certain major services like Google or Apple, etc. And there's a couple different things that tie this together. But think about it. When children are young, there's a form of a parent that's a guardian over the children to teach them true and correct principles and then let them govern themselves. I personally, I've seen kids that just literally get enthralled in some of these things, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or Netflix or simple things. I like simple things like Minecraft. I mean, I think it's a beautiful building game, but as a parent, there historically hasn't been a tool as a guardian to be able to say, you can go here, you can see this, you can do this. Okay. So let's just look at it from a parent managing a child from a guardianship. Where are they going online? What can they have access to? What can they not have access to? What kind of devices do they have? Where are the devices? How do they work? And for those of you that are not aware, one of the best features of the ClearPhone is it actually uses a DNS resolver at the operating system layer. That's why we had to build hardware, operating systems, apps, literally 16 plus apps, which I always show because they're such a pain in the rear to actually build and manage. But these apps then tie to a marketplace that have hundreds of thousands of apps that tie to it. And it's different than existing devices. It's different than existing systems. You can't do this. As a matter of fact, I would argue that with Apple, they do just the opposite. They don't sell you the phone. You think you buy the phone. You technically don't even own the hardware, let alone the software, let alone the data that's your data that you put into their systems. And everybody, just majority of the world says, hey, I shouldn't say the majority because actually Android has majority of market share. But anyways, guardianship for the user, for the individual, the child, so to speak, and then also the elderly. So this is a different interface. This is the opposite. So for instance, and Danielle, I haven't talked to you about this at all, but you've been taking care of your mom for a long time. And some folks, and this was a lesson that I learned, we grew a team from one individual to 61 people, and then COVID hit over in India. In Jaipura, my eyes were opened when I visited that office because I saw a generation of kids that would be raised by their parents, live with their parents. And then everything that I've been taught in my life is like, no, you get to a certain age and you go off on your own. But in India, they don't do that. The parents actually live with the kids. And it depends, male or female, and a bunch of other things. But here, especially when we have aging parents, we start thinking, well, how can they pass away or live their life in dignity? This last week, we celebrated a birthday of a father-in-law who passed away. And that man was as dignified as I've ever met a human. But he went within 90 days. We were actually at an Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year dinner. I was getting an award for blah, blah, blah. And he stood up at the end of it and he couldn't stand up. He was dizzy. So he went to the emergency room, and within 90 days, a glioblastoma, which they actually removed, which is a tumor in the brain, actually took his life. And this is a man that was just a beacon, like, but dignity is what he lived with. Like I never saw him in a dirty shirt. I never saw him. Well, I actually saw him dancing one time. It was pretty cool. Anyways, the point that I'm driving at is this generation, it's like, how do they use technology? If he was here today, he would have no problem with technology because he would believe that he could actually do it. That's the difference. It's a belief system. There's a digital divide, but that's not what this is about. This is about building systems for the future generation. And what I'm trying to show you is a system that not only says, hey, this is a bank account and let's pay a bill by dragging and dropping. For those of you that haven't seen it, I'll show it in a second. Or let's go ahead and pay a contact and we know that this contact is valid. So for instance, notice the difference between endorsed and verified. Imagine that certain assets can actually be verified, whether you're in a, think about it. We've got a live audience right here. This live audience, how do we know who they are? Inside, and there's a reason why their video streams off and their first names. But the point is imagine if Gary here could actually be validated by a third party within a web browser, which, by the way, I'm running a web browser. This is actually ClearWeb. We've got it on the phones. We've got it on Windows, Mac, Linux, and one other flavor, which I won't even talk about because it's tied to a television. But imagine if you can actually know who you're talking to. I don't know about you, but one of the most advanced women that I know sent me a message this week and said, this is concerning. Will you look into it? And I looked into it and it was like, people have just, it's not real. It's going to become more and more trying to discern truth from error. And technology is actually how they'll do it. I look at what happened just down the road from me, literally the same road that I'm on, just down the road is where Charlie Kirk was supposedly shot and killed, and a whole nother, I don't want to even get into that topic. But what I'm trying to articulate is there's certain things that can happen with technology and effects that wouldn't happen prior. For instance, a buddy of mine, Tim, created a company called In What Language after creating Lingo Tech. And what he does is it takes a movie in a different language and it actually changes the language and then changes the way their lips say it. So it literally, it's amazing, but I'm trying to communicate that things can actually go anywhere. And when we look at this type of technology, which I'm going to come back over here, one of the biggest frauds, and I talked a little bit about this last week, was the grandparent fraud, which is a $10 billion estimated at $10 billion a year in fraud, where a granddaughter or a grandson calls a grandparent, says lots of different scenarios. Let's say there's a scenario, I'm only 14. Please don't tell my parents I was driving. I got in an accident and I actually hit somebody and they're trying to put me in jail. And here's my attorney and please send them $7,400. That type of fraud is done or perpetrated with an artificial intelligence, just a voice of someone of just a couple minutes that then they can run through a synthesized system and have a real live conversation with a computer with multiple people. It's like, the first the use says it, then the attorney gets on and says, hey, just send it to this account or do this and we'll make sure that she doesn't go to jail. It's all fake. They literally busted up in Canada. They busted like a call center of like 25 people that are just doing these types of things. And it's not even a call center, it's a digital system. But anyways, the point that I'm driving at is this is about guardianship for a grandparent with simplified systems. Who are their contacts? Who approves it? What happens if you send a contact more money than you should? Can there be checks and balances? But the differences between what you're seeing with the centralized systems, because this is the type of stuff that they're going to do. For instance, Utah is literally endorsing identities. And Utah also does things around guardianship. The combination of guardianships and identities, endorsements, is going to come together. If it comes together in a responsible way, like what the state of Utah is doing, humanity has a beautiful future. I mean, just an absolute beautiful future. With that being said, I'm actually going to pause here and I'm going to jump back over to a warning sign of a gentleman that I really absolutely respect in a very big way.
What we're
Please
seeing
listen to
today is what I call turnkey totalitarianism. They are putting in place all of these technological mechanisms for control we've never seen before. It's been the ambition of every totalitarian state from the beginning of mankind to control every aspect of behavior, of conduct, of thought, and to obliterate dissent. None of them have been able to do it. They didn't have the technological capacity. Today, the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide. Within 5 years, we're going to see 415,000 low orbit satellites. Bill Gates says his 65,000 satellites alone will be able to look at every square inch of the planet 24 hours a day. Digital currency that will allow them to punish us from a distance and cut off our food supply. Every right that you have is transformed into a privilege contingent upon your obedience to arbitrary government dictates. It will make you a slave. And what do we do about this? What do? We resist. I'm going to tell you 3 rules that you all need to know and memorize. Number 1, every power that government takes from us, it will never relinquish voluntarily. Number 2, every power they take from us, they will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. Number 3, nobody in history of the planet has ever complied their way out of totalitarian control. Every capitulation is a signal to the oppressors to impose new forms of torment or torture or compliance or obedience. Every time you comply, you get weaker. Bullies cannot be appeased. It just encourages them to new forms of torture and torment. Every time you say yes, you're getting pushed back to a weaker position. That's why we need to resist today. What we're seeing today.
So I hope these are positive things. I know that some of this stuff may be hard to hear, but it is the reality that we get the opportunity to be able to live with and through. And I think going through these things will only make us stronger. I look at what AI can do in a positive way. I look at what technology can do in a positive way. I look at the beautiful things that the internet has brought to humanity. Yes, number 1 use is pornography. Number 2, genealogy. It can bring us together like we can't even imagine. AI can pull the humanity together like we can't imagine. I know that may sound weird, but I think that the advancements are positive as long as we embrace them in a responsible and accountable way that gives people choice, that gives people freedoms, that we most of the generation on this call, we know the difference, but the current generation doesn't know that they don't know. And so it's like they just give into it. So now is the time. Now is the opportunity to be able to stand up and I would even say the live audience, now is your time to provide your perspective. You know, what is your thoughts? What is your feedback? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you observing here? What doesn't feel right? What needs to be changed? Please interject. Provide your insights from parts of the world, from Mexico to Canada, to Australia to New Zealand. All of those environments have already given up your right before the UK did. You know it. Australia it started with, then it went to New Zealand, then to Canada. Mexico, the cartel's taken it years ago. But we have representations from all of these parts of the world and then some. I'd like to hear your perspective. I'd like to hear what you're seeing and what you're feeling.
So I'll start. First of all, the marketing is amazing because the way they're selling it to people is, you know, it's going to be so convenient and so easy, and it's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. You know, the narrative, the propaganda is really, really good. And what I'm finding, you know, I have a community of people, of like-minded people, but outside of that community, Michael, people are not hearing about an alternative. They're not. They're just, you know, there's no, they're not hearing about an alternative. So, you know, sometimes I hear you say people aren't getting it. People aren't getting it. People aren't hearing it. People are not hearing it, Michael. Until I got inside this community, I had no clue what decentralization really meant. And, you know, it was starting because, you know, crypto was starting to gain a lot of exposure. Well, a lot. I mean, there's still only what, 6 or 7% of the world that's in anything crypto. So imagine decentralization came kind of, even though crypto is supposed to be decentralized, really decentralization, I started hearing about that a little bit after crypto, and it's not even true decentralization. So it's, you know, I understand that people aren't getting it, but they're not getting it because they're not hearing it. There's nothing out there showing people, teaching people. And I'm, you know, some days I'm positive and some days I'm scared. I'm scared about what's coming. I'm not comfortable. I don't know what to trust anymore. You know, all this Charlie Kirk stuff, I'm just using that as an example. I could use 9/11 as an example. There's, you know, just the information that's coming out. First of all, 9/11, the day it happened, I said to my husband, you know, the government's involved in this. And he looked at me as if I had a third head. But a lot of investigating has been done by different organizations. There's a, I don't remember the name of it, but the architects that have gotten together that have done a deep dive. But even so, like, you know, do I believe them or do I believe these one? They all sound good, but I don't even know who or what to believe anymore. I don't know. It sounds good. Is it AI? So, you know, I do my best to stay positive, but sometimes it's a challenge. Yeah. And I started off, you know, at the beginning saying, this is one of the communities where I feel safe. But I don't feel so safe in different places.
You know,
sorry if I gone on too much.
As we all come together, and all we have to do is transact together. Like, there's some really neat stuff that's coming in. It's been eye-opening to see how people would just say, I'll go ahead and get that shot if I can't stand in line to go to Costco, or if I have to social distance, or if I have to put a mask on, or, you know, and I think a lot of it comes down to our personal comforts. And, you know, today I haven't eaten a bite, not a drink of water. I wasn't planning on fasting. There's so much stuff going from meeting to meeting to meeting, but I actually feel really good. But through the hunger pains, the world thinks the sky's falling. And so if we're hungry, we'll go ahead and conform. Heck, we don't even need to be hungry. I watch people give away their privacy and identity and their votes for Starburst or a ham. I mean, it's crazy to see, but the net is it really comes down to, and there's an organization that I really hope gets involved in what we're talking about, and we're close, but they basically, and as crazy as this sounds, the farmers are important. The currency creation environments are important. The Wall Streets and all of these different things are important, but it actually is coming back to one of the compelling events is actually a butcher, a large butcher that will go to the farmers and say, we'll give you 20% for that animal if you would actually track its life, digitally track its life, not to control it, but so that we know where it was born, what genes it comes from, what fields it comes from, what feed it was given, what vaccinations or non-vaccinations or hormones or antibiotics it was given. Because those things go from the animals to the people. Now, most of my life, I've actually been vegetarian or pescatarian, so I don't eat meat. But since I bumped into this butcher, my eyes have been open to how simple parts, simple secret combinations, so to speak, because these combinations can actually come together for good. So an organization like that owns a large chunk of food supply and food that I normally wouldn't even eat, but it's like, hey, what if we took it from just meat and lamb and beef and elk and bison and poultry to actually meals? And we actually listen to what your body is saying that you're actually wanted from simple little devices, whether they're little devices like these that are the future of communicating with the human body through yes or no questions, or historical devices like these. Or maybe it's a simple device that you hop on before you jump into the shower or into the tub, and it takes your weight and your pulse and your body weight index. And from there, it can actually help us to plan what kind of foods need to be grown, what kind of crop supply is there, all of these different things that these centralized ecosystems, because I've heard similar stuff from Larry Ellerson, who I believe is an absolute head of these secret combinations. And normally I don't come out against people, but I've seen what he's done within the Hawaiian environment. I've seen what he's done within different cultures. And it's not a matter of saying that people are just evil or not, because everyone has a right to be able to learn and to grow and to screw up and to make mistakes, and then to ask for forgiveness too, and to even go through a process of reciprocity and trying to make things right. Who knows? Maybe he will. I know that there's a gentleman, Richard Dick, on our team. Amazing man, wonderful human. He's been on these calls a couple times. He's like, Mike, I wrote the policy for HIPAA personally, firsthand. And the way that they implemented it was absolutely the opposite way that it was intended. We must make this right. Like, it's not even like he's actually saying, I got to repent for something I did wrong. It's like he was just doing his job, but the whole system basically turned it on its head. Health Information and Portability and Privacy Act, HIPAA, is not supposed to be the model where the individual puts all their data in their systems, like in OGBYN, pharmaceuticals, family practitioner, dentist, all of these have HIPAA signatures. And then we're in the technology world. Like I can tell you that not only is the hardware and software not safe, but the databases that they run on are actually being mined for the wrong things. So for me to sit here and say Larry Ellerson's bad and blah, 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 it's not right. But what I am saying is there's becoming more of a structured head to literally, and I'll go back over to this simple slide. There's being more of a structured head to link these elements together. And when you take a database, by the way, for those of you that don't know, Oracle builds a database and an operating system. And the operating system called Oracle Server is basically a binary replacement. So that means it's the same thing as ClearOS Server from the ClearCenter company. So for those of you, I'm going to go pull up ClearCenter. Oops, that's ClearCellular. ClearCenter. They do the same thing. It's like we've been competing with these folks for years. First, we took Microsoft out with the small business server with particularly ClearOS Server. If you don't believe it, just go ahead and go Google it. But the point is there's a long history to this system. It's the same thing that Larry Ellertson's doing and others. So they're actually building fine-tuned operating systems for AI and for large language models, particularly with large, what they call LUNs, large storage area network systems, whether it's memory or disk, etc. I shouldn't say disk because they use random access memory or actually solid state disks. But the point that I'm driving at is these ecosystems are very, very real, and they're intentionally trying to do systems that are enslaving people, and they may not even know it. But, you know, when you look at folks like Palantir, you know, Mr. Thiel, Peter Thiel.
Yep. Thiel, yep.
You know, the latest things that he's doing is not just profiling governmental systems and financial transactions and things like that, which is, if they're going to do that, that's fine. That's their prerogative. But he's, from what I understand, and I haven't been to one of these because I'm not going to go to one, but actual courses and events on Satan worshiping. So when you look at a big plan, we're basically given an opportunity to be spirits to come into these bodies. And I don't even want to talk religion, but what we are is here on earth, and what we have is choice. And what I believe some of these centralized systems are doing is taking away some of the freedom of these choices. And, you know, certain people, even inside of the ecosystems that I live in here, they don't see it that same way. They just, hey, conform, just get in line. Don't question things. Pull out your sleeve. Let's get this jab. Let's get this doctored up. And if someone's gotten that, that's your choice. I don't want to say negative things about it, but all I'm trying to say is that's your choice. And that is what this system needs to do. And if we build systems that are enabling decentralization, so the assets are owned by the individual. Let me give you, and then, you know, we'll go to the next question. This will take a while because I'm on a really weak connection today. I'm actually on a cellular. I'm on the same clear phone that I'm showing you here in the middle of, oh boy. I'm going to pull up this Life app. Hopefully I'm not logged in. So for those, yeah, dang it. This is actually a team member. So I can't even do the demo because I don't, even though they're still logged in, I can't even do a demo, but you can kind of see. Let's go ahead and take this Hawaiian dollar and buy DBTC with it. You can see that you can actually go through a process of doing it. And then if the phone was here, you can see that it's going to go through one currency, the Hawaiian dollar, which again was stolen. That's a currency that was a culture that it still exists. The Kingdom of Hawaii still exists. The people still exist. But you know what? We're all brothers and sisters. But can we learn from different things by supporting things or seeing different things in a different way? So if I were able to say, go ahead and swap this, it would pop up. I can't scan it. So this other individual has to scan it. That's the beauty of these new systems, is there's an element of trust layers. It's kind of like an onion. You know, there's trust that goes one step at a time, but not. So I'm going to go ahead and log out of this. But for those of you that are not aware, you scan it to log in. You have your whole identity. You have your whole systems. You basically can manage. Let's see. You can manage different systems. And what I'm trying to show you as far as the advancements over this last week was really the systems that are for elderly as well as children, that can have systems that can help them to be able to live a life with dignity and to be in control and manage, but without being taken advantage of, without being profiled and lied to. It's not that elderly are stupid. They're not in any stretch of the imagination. But a lot of these new threats they may not be privy to or aware of, and they're also trusting. You know, they don't want to see the negativity, and at least I think that some of the prior generations are more trusting. But hopefully we can see a lot more tomorrow. The meeting with Scott is all around this verified. We've got a couple more meetings with the state of Utah around this endorsed. And we look forward. If any one of you on this call wants to join this event that's coming up, please do so. This is actually where it's at. So UVU, same place that Charlie Kirk had the incident. October 17th. So we're talking 18 days away from now. This is a link. I'll actually drop it in. Well, here, I'll drop it, try and drop it everywhere I can.
Will it be streamed?
Probably not. This is not just another event per se. This is literally a gathering of 10 different states looking at the future of how governance with governments can actually serve the people following the Constitution of the United States of America. This is an article that is absolutely beautiful. Like, this talks about how the individual, and I cannot say enough good about this Christopher Bramwell. He is the Utah Chief Privacy Officer. He totally gets it. He's one of the first in government. I'm not saying people in government are not good, but he's absolutely brilliant. He doesn't play the political games. I don't necessarily always see eye to eye but the point is he listens, he has an open mind, and he works. Like, I'm seeing government actually work. Like, we're on a day today. What are we at again? We're at September 30th. They're talking about shutting down the government tomorrow or whenever. Does anybody know when they're talking about? At midnight tonight? And all I'm saying is I see this guy, this Chief Privacy Officer, which is really a new type of role within government. I see this guy working tons, like in the office every day in a suit, working tireless hours, like, and he's not doing it for money. He's doing it because it's the right thing. And then the state of Utah, hats off, the governor basically said this Chief Privacy Officer role is going to report into the governor's office, not into a technologist's office like the CTO or the CIO of the state. But even the CTO and the CIO of the state of Utah, hats off to them. They literally are paying attention to this. They're on board. They understand that it's going to change everything, but they're still willing to move forward. So I'm going to put this link out here as well. This should go to all the people online. And just, it's nice to see an ecosystem where people are actually working together. Now, what's important, and the way I kind of personally see it, is the digital world is a platform that no one owns, no one controls. It's a group of technologies like those 8 layers that we went through that literally can be a framework for future where councils can manage it. Service providers can deliver value. Some of the service providers, yes, they're clear companies today, but there'll be more, and they won't be clear companies. But the point is on top of this foundation, this digital ecosystem, is the service providers, namely the clear ecosystems, which again will shift. And at the top of it is life, the individual life of humanity. And that is where hopefully over the next couple of weeks, you see a lot of advancements within the Life app, within the Life coin, within the way that life, whether it's a bond and an insurance, whether it literally just, it can be the future. Not just because we need a new one, but because the technological advancements are here. We just need to adopt them, but then pass them to the next generation. Most of us on this call probably won't even be here by the time it gets massively adopted. But we must do our part to say, we didn't just stand by and watch the communication get decimated, the bank and finance get canceled, and then the simple right to work and to exist and to travel and to transact and to privacy. It's just like we were told by President Mr. Kennedy, which I really love him. He's such a good person. We can't give these simple gifts that we've been giving up. I'm going to stop blabbing there. We'll go back to questions. Other thoughts or comments, feedback, observations, recommendations?
Well, if nobody's going, I'm going to ask another question. When do you foresee, Michael, that that everything will be launched and we can start living inside the digital world?
At this point, it's just a matter of doing it. All of the elements are there. The security's there, the identity's there, the assets, the transfers. There are people, put it this way, we had some reviews this morning around actually doing outbound awareness. So for 16 years, all of the Clear companies, from storage to identity to cellular phones, believe it or not, cellular phones, we have not done one ad on any social platform. Not on LinkedIn, not on Facebook, not on TikTok. We've never paid for not one ad to pop up on any of these folks. But next week we're working with the Life Bond, which is around whole life insurance. And it's going to be one of the first digital assets that goes live on the digital world, because the assets on the digital world are actually assets that are true and correct. They're not some fictitious type of non-life or real type assets. They're real. These are assets that people really will use in one form or another. Maybe it's a communication device, a traveling device, a living device, or a financial instrument, etc. But anyways, now, Danielle, don't wait. And if you got questions about it, there are people that can answer them. AI can probably do it now. Who knows? But does this make sense?
Yeah, it does. But you know what I was thinking, Michael? Like, is there, for those who would be interested, inside our little community here, is there something that we could do so that we could all experience using the digital world with each other? Like, could we do like a fun type of test where, I don't know, even if we each sent each other a dollar or something like that?
So what I would propose, and I know this video stream is not good, but if someone wants to pop on and just share a video, like Daniel, you're on, and I don't even know if the video streams are strong enough with the resolution here, but if someone could pop on and pull up a Life app, I don't care if it's Hawaiian Life, Vanuatu Life, American Life, Mexican Life, Utah Life, and say receive on a particular asset, and I'll send some assets, and you guys can just share them and send it. Billy's on. Kia ora.
Yes, he is.
It has been a long time.
Kia ora, brother. Good to see you.
Hey, wow. I was thinking about you. I was thinking about you earlier today, and I was thinking, it's been a long time since he's been on. Welcome. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Good to be here, and good to see you, everyone. Good to see you, Sister Danielle. And you've been on my thoughts and prayers too, brother. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's good to have you join us. Is there any feedback or thoughts that you have? Have you been watching all of it? I mean,
Yeah, is my camera on? It doesn't.
No, it's not.
Is my camera not?
No, that's.
Hold on 1 second.
That's what's crazy. That's what's crazy about this platform is people got to turn their cameras on to do some of these transactions. And I think that's where things die, Danielle, to be honest with you. So maybe we just bite the bullet and use a different platform where we've got all video streams and we're not worried about privacy and stuff. So, but
yeah, it was working when I started.
It was, yeah? Was it?
Yeah, it was working. I might come out and come back in. So I don't like.
Okay, yeah, please give it a shot. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did see you, Billy. Your camera was on for a little bit. I saw you.
It was. I don't know what's happened. I'll come out.
I'm going to turn mine off because you don't need mine. There you go. So maybe all I know is Daniel's always got his on. This is awesome. He's like streaming all the time at 3 a.m. in the morning. Danielle, you're actually on your phone, aren't you, buddy? You don't have another device that you have the actual wallet on, do you?
Yeah, I have a picture on my computer, but I'm on my phone now. Yeah.
Well, maybe what we do.
I do some screenshots to different things on the computer.
Yeah.
So
maybe what we do is, Danielle, we plan for something like that. Like we come in and we actually say, hey, I'm the butcher, you're the farmer, and you're the consumer, and you're the trash man, and you're the sewage department, and we kind of go through a life cycle of you know, something that we consume, so to speak. I know that's
Let's do it, Mike. Let's do
a
it.
terrible analogy.
Please.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do that. What other thoughts or comments or feedback does anybody have? There's a lot going on in society. Now's the window.
I have a few questions.
Go.
Today I tried to download the Live app on my computer, but nothing happened. So I'm not sure how to do it.
Well, it happened because the Life apps actually don't run on the computers. They run on phones.
Okay.
Yeah, they run on phones. This is a really good question, though. It's a great, because this is real world for people. They run on the phone because the phone actually integrates with you biologically, but privately. And then you log into computers. Like when I come over here and I say I want to log in, like I'll go ahead and click on this, say click here to log in. I'll grab my Life app. I'm literally going to scan QR code. It's 5-factor authentication, something I have, something I am, something I do in a certain space and time, and assets just flow in. And then if I want to, I can grab an asset and I can see what I've got, currencies, equities, commodities, rewards, all of it. And I can say, you know what? I want to take goldbacks and I want to transfer them over to dollars, or I want to transfer them to Bitcoin. And boom, just that fast, pop it in. I don't think so you can literally send it. There's another scan that would happen here. But my point is everything that you're seeing on this screen is actually all run off of my phone. So the apps all get installed on the phone. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I can't see your screen actually, no, but
You
I
can't.
heard
You can't.
what you say.
Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. Well, you should have been able to see it. Others could see it, right? Okay.
I saw you.
Other thoughts or comments or feedback?
Another question. You talked about the AI. Can I have the AI on my Android?
Yeah, so we've actually got AI to work on the Clear phone. I'm sure it should work on other Android phones. What we'll do is we'll actually come out with a model. So I'm going to go ahead and log out here. And then when I log out, it's going to take me to a site. Here, I'll just click on this again. Hopefully I didn't do that too fast. So when you come here to log in, it gives you the rights to download a certain app, okay? And what you probably did was just download on your web desktop. We should probably let folks know that it's not for, but you can see that there's different global for unions. So this is Asian, Africa, American, Europe, Arabian, and Pacific Union, started with Pacific. And then there's regions. So these are basically, when you look at these, you're seeing that they have interfaces and then apps, okay? So for instance, in Utah, we've got a state. So you've got countries and states and regions. You've got both an app and then a login. So the login is what I was just showing you, but you can kind of see how they all come together. But on Android, there's only 2 apps. So we call them digital. So it would ultimately, Clear AI is actually what's going to run on the Clear phones, because the Clear AI app has access to the actual data that's within these different private environments. So imagine if you can run your own private AI and then also get the best of all the worlds with normal AI, but your data is your data. Your likeness, your persona, your information resides with you. Does that make sense?
Yes, and you led me to my third and last question. That would be phone 624. Takes some money to buy a phone. So are we waiting for a new one quite soon, or is this for the future?
These
624.
Like one of our biggest issues has always been keeping inventory in, and the 624 will actually be around until probably next October. So, you know, that's
a year from now
until they're sold out, so to speak. So yeah, we're not going to be building another phone until next October at the earliest. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
So, but the prices have been discounted down. Originally, they were $1,200. Now they're $899. So, and it's a great phone. I mean, this is the exact same one that I use. Lasts a long time, comes with a great warranty. If there's any issues, you're basically a replacement, but it's a wonderful, wonderful device. And it does come with updated software. There'll be some software updates, but you'll also be able to get those over the wire, as well as where I was just showing you some of these other, I don't remember where the button was, right here. So these will also be updatable too. So I hope that answers your questions, Daniel, or Daniel.
Yeah. So if I go to Utah this October, November, whatever, can I buy a phone there or
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You're always welcome. Always welcome. You can do it physically. You can do it remotely, whatever works for you. We would just love to see you and give you a hug and see your eyes and give you a handshake and meet you in person. Anybody that wakes up at 2 a.m, pure respect for that. So
I know it's 3:30, so it's soon bedtime. But I slept a little bit this afternoon, so I'm good.
yeah, well, thank you for being here. Other thoughts or comments or concerns or questions or anything?
I couldn't hear.
Well, Becca actually opened us up with prayer, and get this, Billy, she gave it in Maori. She's in Australia, but she speaks Maori. So, and then I would welcome any kind of comments or someone that would volunteer to give us a closing prayer.
Michael, I'll give a closing prayer if you like.
Sounds great.
And also, I've got my Hawaiian Life app running on my computer. If you wanted to bestow some dollar on me or whatever to demonstrate, I could share my screen that way if you like.
Hey, that's another way we could do it.
I put my wallet in the chat if you like. But otherwise, we can just go to a closing prayer.
So for those that are not aware, you can use a QR code scan. You can send an address, and it's for, what asset is this for, do you know?
No, it's just the digital wallet that I got off at it says my Hawaiian wallet address. Is what it says.
Okay.
And so it says to receive payment, share your wallet address with them or scan QR code. In this case, I've shared the wallet address, Michael.
Well, what's fun is on these types of things, it's really beautiful to be able to do a scan and then a send, because it becomes really real time and people can actually say, this is the balance. But do you have do you have your camera working? For whatever reason, this platform doesn't do that.
Yeah. So where do I get my code? Where do I get my QR code to share?
No, you already did. I got it. We're good. I can go ahead and send it over right now.
No, I mean only if it's only if it's in demonstration of what Danielle was referring to about showing a transaction.
So what native balance do you currently have?
The native balance is 1.999992 of dollar of Hawaiian dollar. I've got 454. Do you want me to share my screen, and then do you want to walk through what you want to show, or do you?
No, yeah. If you want to share your screen, you can. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera on. So for those that can see, we're basically going to do a transaction. We're going to go ahead and say send. It's going to ask for a fingerprint. Put a fingerprint on there. It basically sends 1, 2, 3. It's gone. So he actually has that asset now. If he were to count, like he said, it was 1.9 or something that he had in native.
That's not native, but
yeah.
So which one did you send?
How much native do you have right now?
I have native. Well, let me refresh.
Yeah. So this is absolutely the wrong way to do this demo because we don't have any video
Okay,
streams.
I've now got 1,000. You sent me 1,000 native.
Yeah. So you can share that with the folks that are on here, and then we can figure out how to go to digital assets that are silver and gold coins that represent what Alpine Gold does. By the way, Alpine Gold I believe, and here this is actually what they look like. So this is Alpine Gold. You can literally get physical assets. So you can get gold and silver coins that are actually US Treasury because they're gold eagles and silver eagles, or you can get gold backs, or you can get the equivalent within the US dollar environment with AGX US. So these are all of the different assets there. What's really neat is, like, can you see my screen, Gary?
No, I'm still sharing mine, so
Oh.
I'm only seeing my screen in the share. I'll stop sharing and I can
Well, here,
reshare when you
I'll
want.
see if we can see yours, bud. I can't see yours. That's the problem. Can you see mine?
Well, it says I'm sharing at the moment. I can click on yours and see it.
No,
yes.
we're gonna have to. I think it's time to drop off this tech and then jump onto some tech where we can actually do screen shares and fun stuff, because we've got to have videos. That's just all there is to it. So, but
Yeah.
if you wanted to, you could actually log in with this if you scanned it, or if anybody scans it, they can log in and the world can actually see the different assets, how they work, how they flow. Billy, we've made such advancements since we connected last. I'm super excited to share them with you. So anyhow, other thoughts or feedback or things you'd like to do before we say grace and move to the next chapter of life, so to speak? I guess with whatever's next in our day.
How's everybody?
Hello, how are you, sir?
All good, all good, thank goodness, all good, all good. So, I know that everybody has been here like for more than an hour. I just want to say something, but
Yeah.
that the Mexican environment, we're very, very excited about the launch of the platform, because we really needed to regain the democracy, you know? Right now, the current regime has to take control of the three main powers, you know? So we really needed this platform first for the voting systems and the digital, like decentralized identifications,
Mhm.
because otherwise we will be on the hands of a very, very few people, you know, at their expenses.
Yeah.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, we see you, bud.
So the other part that is very, very important is that each municipality is the same like level as counties in the US. It's the same, you know, like municipalities and states, that's the whole country. We will be as autonomous as they can be, and be able to, with direct democracy and these systems in real time, be able to see what is the real problems that they are facing, you know, and all the money where it's going, because right now it's so absurd that in Mexico right now, for example, the biggest municipality in Mexico City, it has almost 2 million people. They don't have money to fix the sewing system, and they have like floods all everywhere, you know, with 2 million people. So the level of corruption, it's too much. So I know that right now we're being very, very hopeful that we can deploy all this technology, all these systems, one municipality at a time, one community at a time, and it's very, very needed to adopt all this effort that Mike and all the other persons behind and developed from all these years. So I'm just very grateful that I meet you all you guys. That the divine power has put everybody in our path, and we're very excited and I'm grateful. That's it. I just want to say hi to everybody.
Hello, and thank you for saying hi and giving us the update on Mexico. And I look forward to seeing you in about 18 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, that'll be wonderful.
That would be
So,
amazing. I know.
other thoughts or comments or feedback, observations? Thanks.
Is
Thank you.
is it possible to get the last list of the gold? And you showed a list of different assets. Could you show that a couple of seconds more?
These guys right here. Yep.
The list.
This is within the Alpine Gold Exchange, and these are digital assets that represent some of the things that they sell.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. If I can take a screenshot, give me 2 seconds or more.
There's more that are inside of this market. If you jump into this guy right here, you can actually see.
Just to remember, I'll take a screenshot of this. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, let me get one more screenshot. You showed another page.
Any other thoughts or comments or topics that anybody wants to go over?
Can you hear me, Mike?
We got you, Billy. Loud and clear.
Okay, good. Cool. Sorry, Danielle, you go first. I don't want to cut over you. Up
No,
to you.
it's all your turn, and then it's all your turn, and then we're going to wrap up and say a word of prayer, and then plan on seeing everybody next week.
Roger that. Copy that. Okay, so really keen to understand how the mineral, the metals wallet will work. So in New Zealand right now, I don't know if you can see these, but people are urgently divesting themselves out of banks, out of paper currency as quickly as they can. And you know, there's a huge market here. There's a huge market, certainly in the network that I'm affiliated with. And so really keen to understand what the launching pathway is for this, so that we can actively market this and get this on the ground here in reality, so that people can access it and divest. New Zealand is just one hair's breadth away from going full central bank digital currency. Originally, Reserve Bank of New Zealand was aiming for 2030, but that has been brought way forward. So along with the digital ID program, which the government has announced in the last week or two, that's almost in tandem with what the United Kingdom is doing, but that we are going to go full digital ID shortly. They've already announced that we're going to have digital licenses and digital vehicle registrations and all that. So we are just a very short step away from going full-blown digital tyranny here in New Zealand. So the idea of alternative metals currency is a really serious and demand sort of ready market here for you, Mike. So I'd be really keen to have a chat with you outside of this forum to get my head around how it works. And that it's been a while since I looked at it. And been keeping in contact with Danielle, and that's been really helpful as well. But certainly want to understand that whole issue around you know, what are the real pathways for the metals program, and also, you know, what the latest is in relationship to tech. So that's all I've got. But yeah, good to see you and everyone here.
It's closer than you realize as far as where you are. Have you seen any of these types of things before? Gold backs that are dollars?
No. Not New Zealand. No, I think you may have shown me the concept a while ago, but that looks cool.
So there, we should explore getting some down there. This is actually Oklahoma, which is the 8th state that we've done in America. And, you know, it'll go to other countries, but the net is the people that you need to, I would say, let's set up a specific meeting for some of these folks. And there's actually key individuals that are closer than you realize, right in your own backyard, that are actually going to help facilitate the future. And I will just leave it at that. But you have everything that you need right there. And not only is there a proven track record in history for the world, but it's also been done in Aotearoa. And
great.
So it's literally it's amazing, and it's all coming together. And But I think one of the most responsible organizations in the world is really this Alpine Gold Exchange. Like they literally just buy silver, gold, and coins, and they actually store them and then help facilitate trade and barter and commerce. And the goal is to basically light up multiple environments that can actually do this, but in real time. So the systems are very matured since you looked at them last. And I do think that sitting down and having a simple conversation is merited. So you know how to get me, same thing, same process. And thank you for being here. Thank you for just checking in. We don't send out invites anymore. We really just want a kind of a tight group because it can go on and on and on. But anyhow, just appreciate you. So we'll go ahead and wrap up with prayer. And I think Gary was the one that was willing to provide us with a word of prayer before we leave. Gary, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'll do it in English if you don't mind, Danny, Becca. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for allowing us to get together and using technology in this particular way, and that we've had a wonderful and glorious leader in Michael that devotes his time and his human capital to forwarding human freedom and human endeavor, to rise the tide, to float all boats. And we hope and we pray, Heavenly Father, that this initiative and others that can come from this and networks that we can all bring to this initiative from our own particular points of reference can help to add to the momentum of adding freedom and self-determination to mankind, and taking it away from those that have been governing us through surreptitious means over the many centuries. And we pray these things, and we pray that we might be an influence for good and a tool in the use of thy hands to build thy kingdom and establish Zion in these latter days to benefit all of mankind. And I pray these things in the name of thy Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, we'll see everyone
Amen.
next
Wonderful.
week. And Billy, is there anything you want to wrap up with?
No, I think just the geopolitical scene. I'm still involved in a lot of commentary and broadcasting around global events. Just watching what's going on from the military and the conflict area, as well as the geopolitical issues that we face with. Definitely keeping a close eye on those, and sort of, you know, whatever happens in New Zealand is a very, very good canary in the chamber, because many people don't know this, but we were the first country in the world in 1986 to use and to receive and use FPOS machines.
Yeah,
we were the first in the planet to do that, and New Zealand, unfortunately, seems to be in that demographic where we're considered a great testing area. And so they do these things, and we're racing very, very, very quickly into that, you know, open air digital prison that we hear so much about. It's a reality. We're seeing the tighter situations around anti-money laundering, AML sort of issues in New Zealand are just stupendous, and just the pressures that are happening on ordinary people to be able to live, breathe, and feed their children and themselves. You know, a big thing in New Zealand at the moment, we're having major fights within the government around the Green New Deal, around the climate change fiasco. These big battles here, but one thing that we all should know is that regardless of whether you're looking at a political party on the left and right, it doesn't matter, because the train may have a different conductor, but the train is still going to the same destination it was going to, regardless of whoever was wearing the conductor's cap. But we are seeing New Zealand adopt every global policy, every UN policy, every WEF policy that there is. You know, so we're in big trouble here. But in light of helping people to have alternatives and options for a lot longer to be able to trade and barter and to use metals resources as a way of trade is very, very important. Communications, of course, is really important. Communications privacy is incredibly important. As you know, Mike, I'm not a private person in terms of the government or public profile here in New Zealand. So, you know, I can certainly feel a change in the air, and it's not that good. A lot of people are confused about what's happening in the United States, and with the MAGA movement versus the lunatic left, as President Trump wants to call them, and I think he's right. I think they are a lunatic left, by the way. But the right as well, the game of left and right, is exactly that. It's theatrical, and what's you know, what was very interesting today was seeing the speech that Secretary of Defense of the US, Pete Hegseth, as well as President Trump gave at the Quantico meeting today with the 800 top-level commanders that they had at the Marine base today.
The new War Department.
It was, yeah, but it was, you know, all of the sort of, you know, the rhetoric leading up to this meeting, you know, was that, jeepers, what is this going to be about? I mean, I sort of thought, well, if they haven't done this since the Cuban Missile Crisis, they haven't had a war room sort of gathering like this since then, or maybe even since the days of Eisenhower. If they haven't done anything like that since then what the heck does this mean for us today? I mean, I really thought that maybe there was some sort of conflict announcement today. That hasn't happened, which is good, but it just shows you that there's something really weird and strange within the Trump administration, where they will call back the commanders from PACCOM, CENTCOM, AFRICOM, and all these you know, theater regional commanders that are active duty, to bring them all there like that was just it's very, very strange.
For those that are not
So,
aware, Billy actually ran for Prime Minister of New Zealand. In my opinion, he had the votes to win, but they also ran the same types of voting machines that basically stole it here in the US. So not only has Billy stood up for truth and right, he was in law enforcement, he was in military, he understands the political kind of landscapes, and we're just grateful to be able to have his presence here and perspective. So thank you. Is there any other, go ahead, I interrupted, so go ahead.
No, you're welcome. That's it, really, just to caution everybody to be vigilant and diligent in preparation for whatever could eventuate. And Gary, thank you for your beautiful prayer. I'm also a pastor here in New Zealand, and so it was lovely to hear your prayer today. Thank you, Brother Gary. I appreciate that a great deal.
Thank you for that, Billy.
Thank you for being here. We
You're
will
welcome.
see you next week, same time, and we'll just continue to watch it grow, and maybe we'll be able to do some sharing. So between then, basically, yeah, Gary, you plan on doing some demos for us when we get a video stream up, okay? Bye, everybody. Much love. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Thank you.